So I'm often left with quite a few different stencils, and I just chuck them to one side when I'm in the middle of something else, and I end up doing them sometimes days later. So don't worry if you've been lazy like me and just put them to one side. Sometimes they're all stuck together, etc. It really doesn't matter. Use your spatula, use a piece of cloth, and if you have a lot of trouble cleaning up, use a little bit of alcohol to clean up. If you have any problems with alcohol, you can use acetone instead, but don't apply it directly to the stencils as you can damage them. These stencils are made of vellum, which already contains a little oil, and you don't want to remove the oil from the vellum. You just want to get rid of the sticky polymer clay. So let me just get rid of that. So I've got a clean tile to work on, and I'm using tissues to get rid of all the excess polymer clay. The only time you don't use a tissue is if you've got enough polymer clay that you want to put it back in your pot, in which case you would just scrape it off as if you were stenciling and then put it on the side of your tile. Scrape it off as if you're stenciling, put it on the side of your tile. And then you'll find that you've stenciled some of the sticky polymer clay through the tile, and it'll end up on the tile. All you do then is scrape it off the tile, put it all together. So I'm doing it again as if I'm stenciling, and those of you who've done quite a lot of my stenciling will see that there's just a little build-up on the edge there of the stencil. And we do use that when we're stenciling sometimes for a colour technique. You'll see that in my next book that's coming up soon. So once again, just keep your spatula at this angle so you don't catch parts of the stencil. Because if you catch those little parts and they bend, they won't ever go back. So do be very careful not to catch those bits. Some stencils are more fragile than others. A properly cared for stencil can be used several times over. Please do be aware that any sticking out bits are likely to damage, so that you always have to keep this spatula working in that same way. So you can see that this is pretty much clean. There's a little bit on the other side I've just noticed, so I'm going to repeat the process on the other side. And as long as you haven't damaged that stencil, this will work pretty well. But if you'd like it a little bit cleaner, you can then just take a tissue, working around the bits that I might catch so that I don't catch any of them. But don't worry about a little tiny bit of this material still on. And then all I do then is I file this into one of those card keeper files, plastic folder files. But it'll have a name and a number on yours. And if you want to replace one that you've damaged, get in touch with us. We just charge a very small amount for replacements because we know that they get damaged and people like to keep the set. Keep your sets in a file folder and you'll be happy another day as well.